That I know. That ain't no problem. They come to focus. That I know. It doesn't take a user to get out. Doesn't take much.
Did she sign up for that? No, I talked to her. She was Thursday. She was at the hospital fundraiser, and she said, "I can't get down there in time." Renee said she was going to register for me. I gotta get down here, but I think she's going to register Thursday because of the she doesn't. It's not like oh, okay.
I will reconvene this meeting of the Macon County Commissioners. This is a continuation of our previous meeting. Among other things we're to do tonight is a public hearing on the proposed monetary economic development incentives that we've discussed. Tommy, would you see, did anybody sign up to?
Just me, yeah.
Look on the sheets back there. There should be a sheet for something. Nobody. Okay, is there anyone here that would like to speak to the economic incentives? And these are typically the matching grants.
Chairman, I think I've already speak, so we'll have something on the record.
Right. I've asked him for the record of the public hearing, even though there's been some discussion about both of these grants. For the purpose of the public hearing, probably ought to have a summary of the incentives and benefits.
I recognize Tommy Jenkins, our economic development.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Handing out right now two grant proposals that we have for a local company that is expanding, hoping to expand in our area. And I believe we talked about both these grants in previous meetings. One of them is the Project Tech, which is the 1MC program grant. If you recall that we handed out some information in the prior meeting, this grant is a $120,000 grant application, $90,000 from the state and $30,000 from the county, 3-to-1 match. If you look at the handout, it's expected to have 35 new jobs over 5 years. The average salary of $48,866 and a 5-year total investment of $3.2 million. Moving on, we've got another grant, for Project Tech, which is a building reuse program, which is through NC Commerce. This is a grant program that, renovates vacant buildings for and the job creation is made right and be eligible for this grant. Of course, they pay $12,500 per job, that's $500,000. The company has to meet the tier, has to be an appropriate tier ranking, or the county has to be, which is tier 1. The county has to be, or the company has to be represented in the priority industry table, which they are. The new jobs have to meet the county living wage standard, which they are required of. And the company will be required to provide 50% employee health insurance, which they follow today. The amount of that grant is $187,500. Their commitment is to hire 15 new jobs within 24 months. And I think the last time we talked about the cost of administering the grant using Region A. We're still going to use Region A to administer the grant. However, that figure has changed from $18,000 to $25,000. So, so the county match on that is 5% match, and it is $9,300. So what do we get for this? We get in the future a growing company located in our industrial park, growth potential, 35 new jobs, significant investment in the future, and the ripple effect from the increased wages and the increased tax base for the state of the economy. Not only that, it sends a good signal to companies and businesses thinking about locating here, but we want their business on the business front.
Some additional new investment as well.
Right, $3 million to class. That's my comments for that.
Okay, and just to add up our total investment, and this will be $39,375, and that will be helping to leverage over $300,000 in renovations.
Yeah, well, there'll be, the building reuse program will be over, over almost $400,000 in renovations for the building. And of course, then another $120,000
The building reuse grant is 187.
That's 187.
So it's grant money.
There's two grants here. We're looking at the one at C is 120, and building reuse is 187.5.
So we're little 300,000 in grant. And I will just state for the record, Chester, the governor appointed me to the committee on the other end in Raleigh that makes the decision to award these grants. So I think I will choose to involve myself in the conversation here, but I will probably recuse myself from the vote there. So I think I have a right as a county commissioner to request this, but I will state to the chairman that this is my own county. So just note for the record that I will not be voting on it. And this will come up at our August 18th meeting. We just had it on the 23rd. I'm glad to see this, and just state for the record that I'm glad to see some grant monies coming to Western North Carolina. We met on the 23rd, which was last Thursday, I think it was, and awarded $10 million, over $10 million in total grants. And I'm glad to see these coming to the western part of the state. We're going to get some for Cherokee County, and we've got some in this is Clay, and we've been able to get this is the second or third one we've gotten here. Tommy's hard work. Just like to commend Tommy for his work. And these grant monies are there. The legislature set this money aside. These grant monies are going somewhere, and they're creating jobs somewhere. And I personally like to see them come here. I think it's wise that we do it, and I will vote to do so. But just for the record, I won't be voting on it. Is that okay? I think I will have discussions with some of the board members about it, and I will certainly speak to it, but I won't.
Once the public hearing is closed, Jenkins will be requesting some action to be taken by the board, and the board will find pursue on the vote of these grants.
Is there anyone else to speak in the public hearing? Any other comments?
So the 30,000, I know we picked that out of contingency last month. Have we picked up the 9,375 or appropriated it yet?
No.
I don't think so. And I would think it would be better to do that in the new year, since this grant, you won't know if you got it until August 18th.
That's correct.
So we'll just wait, if that's okay with the board, to do that in July or August, to appropriate that match.
All they're looking for is a commitment, 5% commitment.
They will ask, I've sat in many of those meetings, and the board members sit around and come down and say, it has to be a local government that's actually applying for it, and they will ask, has Macon County committed to the match? Yes or no? So that's why we have to vote. And I'm not spending money won't be spent. Any other comments? Okay. Hearing none, I declare the hearing closed, and if the board so desires, a motion would be in order to fund both of these grant opportunities.
I think one thing Jessica and I talked earlier, I think one motion, Mr. Chairman, would be to authorize county attorney, somebody up here, to sign the consent agreement.
In connection with the NC1 grant, there will be an incentive agreement that complies with the general statute, with the fallback that Mr. Jenkins had spoken of in an earlier meeting. Mr. Ernie Pearson, who does an awful lot of economic development work, he's an attorney with Nexus Pruitt, has worked closely with Tommy, not only on this project, but on other projects. He prepared an incentive agreement. He and I have talked about it. He made one little revision to it after our discussion, and I have approved that incentive agreement for the recipient of the project tech. I think the identity of the recipient has been disclosed to each member of this board per your closed session. Correct. So I don't think there's any mystery about who will be receiving that. I would encourage this board to authorize your county manager or the chairman one to sign the incentive agreement that is consistent with what Mr. Jenkins has presented to you tonight in this public hearing, which has been approved by the county attorney.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion, second by Shields. Discussion on the motion. And this let's authorize the county manager to do that.
This is only one NC program.
That's correct. That will be a $30,000 obligation.
And on that motion, that be authorized the county manager.
Yes. You accept that in your second, sir? Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Now moving to the building reuse grant. The match on that would be $9,375. The grant received would be $187,500.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think the motion on that would be to authorize the county to pursue that grant.
5% match.
And approve a 5% match should the grant be approved.
There's been a pre-application done, now a formal application needs to be made. I think we would need for approve the making of that formal application and be carrying the commitment to do 5% match.
We also have to approve the formal application when it's in.
I think what we would contemplate is that you authorize somebody to make that application, consistent with the presentation here this evening in the public hearing. Again, we recommend you be the chair of the council.
I'll entertain a motion to do what he said and restate it, and authorize the county manager to execute that with the regard to the building reuse grant and the match amount of $93.75. Motion by Tate. Second by Commissioner Higgins. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So, thank you for the good work.
Good work, Tom. Tom, good work. When will this be released?
Just when
Stay tuned.
the
Stay
Department
tuned.
of Commerce and the Governor's Office will make that decision.
Next day or two, probably.
I will say, I didn't win that, I will,
But you will just do a press release for.
press release coming out from the office.
They get it out to the deal.
All right, very good. Thank you. That's,
Thank you.
That's the way things should work. Thank you. Gentlemen, it's not listed, but let me go ahead and throw in between 2 and 3. Are there additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Anything need to be struck from the agenda, Mr. Manager, or added to the agenda? Jeremy, do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, if we could remove items 6 and 7. 6 would be the continued discussion of the telephony project. We're still, doing in the due diligence phase, looking over some contracts, talking to some neighboring counties and neighboring county governments and school systems that have recently installed phone systems. Just want to be sure we cover all our bases. This is a significant expenditure, and it's going to be with us a while, so we want to be sure we've got all our I's dotted and T's crossed on that. However, we are moving forward there. Consideration of wellness policy. As you know, wellness was a large portion of revisions to the health insurance plan. The health risk assessments, the tobacco screenings. Basically what this policy does is put the procedures that we already have in place and that we're already utilizing in our health plan, memorializes them in writing, in policy. We have reviewed it as a health insurance committee, reviewed it with our insurance agent, and we have submitted it, and the county attorney is going to look over that for us, make sure it dovetails with our personnel policy. So we will be getting back with you on that at a later date.
Okay. So we'll move items 6 and 7. Anything to add?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If we could add 2 appointments to the health board, and that would be just a reappointment of 1 member and a replacement for the veterinarian slot on that board. And again, those are recommendations that will come from the health board. And also, I would say make that number 6, the new number 6, and the new number 7. Just like to take a second to recognize one of the county employees that has completed a very intense training. I'd like to talk about the purpose.
Okay, we'll replace 6 and 7 with appointments to the health board and recognition of county employees. And I would like to add 1 item in this discussion. We had some discussion about the burn building at Southwestern, and Derek and I had a meeting with Dr. Thomas today, so I'd like to throw that on the agenda for some discussion. If we could we make that number, let's see, what's the last thing? We'll make number, yeah. That'll be number. Just make it number, make it 11, because that's the journal. Make it number 10. Make it number 10, the journal be number 11, how's that?
I got 2 items.
Okay. All right, Jim? Yes.
Derek and I are both going to be absent from July meeting, So like just a quick discussion on that. And then I'd also like to have a discussion with the county manager.
Okay. So we'll make that, we'll make number 11, county manager. Number 12, we'll discuss the July meeting. Okay, anything else?
Mr. Chairman, under 4A, I'd like to ask the chairman's permission to, like to talk about in the contingency, we're gonna talk about the security system, like to follow that discussion about the library plans.
Okay.
And then we have one more, which we will put at the end, Lori, is that correct? We'll do it under that same time.
Yeah, if anything's coming out of contingency, my ordinance needs to be moved to the very last so I can recalculate.
So you're gonna do under
anything.
4C,
Just make that,
anything out of contingency, you're gonna do out of under 4C?
Yeah,
So there'll be one more item under 4C.
before, you got security system, senior services, for A, and that would be B.
So there'll be one more item under contingency.
Okay. All right, with the deletion.
And one more thing, which I'm gonna do that very, very short closed session.
All right.
Just for, to bring the board up to date for, I guess our lawyer would put it for information concerning possible acquisition of property.
Okay.
Chairman, I have one item under new business,
I'm so
It's
confused
gonna
on
take
the
this long.
numbering scheme.
I think I've got it, but go ahead, Jessica.
in a nutshell, the Macon Soil and Water Conservation District has approached the county for assistance in dealing with a grant they are receiving from the Clean Water Trust Fund, Clean Water Trust Fund, and have a proposed interlocal agreement for
As well as a board capital project, relative to that same.
So you do that on the agenda tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll make that item number 13, will be, soil and water. And then 14 will be adjourned. Okay, anything else? Number 10 is Southwestern Community College, discussion about the burn building. We'll just go through, 4, under 4, is the, B, 4B's library funds, and C is discussion of the contingency. And then number 6 is appointments for the health board. Number 7 is recognition of county employee. Number 8 is consideration of ordinance amending the budget, our Lord. And number 9 is approval of minutes. Number 10, Southwestern Community College. 11, discussion with the county manager. 12, July meeting. 13, soil and water. 14, adjourned. Sounds good. Do I keep my job as chairman?
It's closed session.
Oh,
In closed session.
6. So 14.
I'm sorry, closed session would be 14.
Sure.
And adjourn would be 15. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion second, any discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion passes. Security system, senior services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something that the liaison to our senior services, DSS, has brought to the attention of the board. With the growing population at the senior services center, people coming in, people going out, there is a growing concern as far as security. We've had 2 instances, I think, Mr. Bill, in the last month at the senior services center that were, particularly scary for staff and those folks out there. And in realizing this need, the Senior Services Director, Ms. Sheila Jenkins, along with the Director of Social Services, Mr. Patrick Betancourt, invited some local companies to come in and give some proposals as to upgrading the security system at the Senior Services Building. With that being said, that both Sheila and Patrick looked them over and made a recommendation to me, which I then took both proposals to the IT department to make sure that the proposals were compatible with our current software, hardware, could be intertwined with the system we have currently in place. And so upon doing that and reviewing both proposals, they're, according to the IT department and me looking at them as well, it's basically apples to apples. And what these proposals are doing is proposing panic buttons, which essentially can be placed in the interview rooms or wherever they may be located throughout the building, that can be activated and law enforcement be notified through the security system. An additional keypad on our security panel, or additional keypad will be installed downstairs in both proposals. Upgrades to our door control, basically new keypads, mag locks, which are not in place right now. In other words, we don't have access like we can come in this building and use our card to get in doors that you know, back to the breezeway or to certain offices. That's not in place out there now. Both these systems propose putting that in place to give them those capabilities out there. And lastly, a video surveillance system. And as you know, we're on video right now. Many of our county facilities, the majority of our county facilities, do have video surveillance. And in recent events, with recent happenings, we feel like that would be more than appropriate at the Senior Services Center. So the proposal that we selected is $12,325.50. And that is, again, to go through, install the panic buttons, put the keypad on, upgrade the door control, and install a video system. So with that being said, I would propose that the Board of Commissioners authorize me to enter into a contract with the vendor to install this system and move forward with this security installation process. With the contingency fund, as we have discussed, I think we have about $53,000 remaining in there. This expenditure would certainly be taken from that contingency fund, as it will be one time.
Let me just add,
We do need to identify.
NCI.
let me just add, Mr. Chairman, these are high resolution cameras. The problems that we've had, we won't go into detail, but we've had problems in two areas. As you know, we do an adult daycare, and we've had two incidents there that's real recent. We've had to call law enforcement twice in just the past few weeks. Serious incidents. And they seem to become more common. It is liability for the county, not to mention folks who attend there. There's been such an increase at our senior citizens, people coming in the door. The numbers continue to grow. You know, it's 18% for 15, 16, and continue to grow. So with that, Mr. Chairman, this is just another step that I hate we have to take, because it's a necessary step for sure, for a lot of reasons. So with that, I make a motion that we approve, as presented to the county manager, this money be taken to contingency with authorization and begin with.
You're a second. Motion. That motion and a second. Under discussion, Derek.
$12,325.50. $12,325.50.
Lori has a different number, I can tell you.
I had 12,352.50, rounded to 12,353.
Okay, it's in 12,353.
353. We have motion second under discussion. Derek, when you quoted the 53,000 extra contingency, that was reflecting and taking the 30,000 out for the county match.
Yes.
It was.
Because that was our.
Okay. That was already, okay.
What kind of time frame are we in?
Well, I can answer that on security. If we approve tonight, top of the glory today, you know, it would be nice if we could get in with the 30, but that's not gonna happen. It's just approved tonight, so this money out of contingency will go back into our fund balance. And then when the job is complete, the money we're taking back out of fund balance, we'll pay the bills, will be money in, money out.
We just have to take action in July. to appropriate-
Take action July to
go
appropriate that
forward,
money.
appropriate funds out.
So does that make sense?
Other discussion?
We would ask the county manager to do. This needs to be started sooner or later. Expedited this.
Other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. B, library funds.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, as you know, we passed a sheet out where the library board and Ms. Wallace had passed around, their initial request to the county manager for an additional approximately $120,000. That's their initial request for the budget. And they were granted, $999,390. And I passed you a sheet showing where the $120,610 was requested. We have since met with the board. The president of the board now is Mr. Lenny Jordan. And we have talked to that. We met with Ms. Wallace and we went through the list. And not to say that everything on the list is not important. We talked with you, Mr. Chairman, talked with the county manager, met with Mr. Shields and talked with most of the commissioners separately. And what everybody was comfortable with was just not knowing, you know, I'm the liaison to the board, but nobody knows where this money needs to go no more than the library and the board, which is something we can hear tonight. So what I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, with the contingency that we have, that we make a $20,000 contribution to this 12610. It will not take care of all the need of the library, but it will certainly help with some of the things. And Ms. Wallace will tell you she will continue to go after grants when available. You never know, that's sort of like throwing darts at a balloon. She will continue to search for those grants for equipment where she can. And we'll see where we're at later on down the road. But for now, I would, the library still services a lot of Macon. And we have 3 libraries, Mr. Chairman, that don't need to go unnoticed. We have Hudson Library in Highlands, we have Nanahail Library, of course, we have the Macon County, the Franklin Library near Franklin. And so, so the $20,000, what I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, is that check be given and that board, that library board and the librarian and his liaison will report back to this board how that $20,000 is spent on the library. And let them, they know better how that money should be spent. With this litany of requests out of 120,000, 100,000 is not, is still short, but they know where it's best to be spent. So I've talked to Ms. Wallace and they're agreeable and they like to have 120, yes, but 20 is better than a slap in the face. So I make a motion that out of the contingency that we approve $20,000 for the Macon County Library. And that check be written between now and the end of this fiscal year. And then as that money, before Friday, and before that money, as that money is spent, Ms. Wallace will give us a breakdown of how that money is spent and report back to the county. That is the form of the motion.
Okay, we have a second. We have a motion and a second. As far as discussion, I'm reading between the lines here. That this is a one-time, it's a single allocation. And we'll certainly revisit.
As the money is available.
We have discussion on the motion.
Didn't we, I think we gave them already one addition this year.
for computer.
We get
We
$18,000.
designated
I was
for
trying to
computer.
look back to this budget, I couldn't remember what it's for.
Approximately $18,000.
17,000 some odd dollars for computers, and
Yeah.
if you look, Jimmy, we're still, we need to get into the rotation, just like we do police cars, and slowly but surely we hope we can get into that rotation for computers with the library, just like we do for anything else. You can see, that the $43,000, we're about $27,000 still short on computer, because of the updates, but as the money becomes available and we hope that can change in the future, but, in this budget, this particular budget, talking with the county manager, Macon County, you know, this is just the three, we have three libraries.
Their board just handle it, and then those report back to us.
They'll report back to us how much.
Okay, other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. And 4C was, or that was something to do with, I'm not sure what happened.
What's left?
Yeah,
What's left?
20,000.
We had 53,302, so back out the 12,353 and the 20K, so basically we went from 53, we've got about 20 left, just around.
20,006.
Yeah, after taking these place, so.
Okay,
So that, we will be,
that's what, okay, I thought, okay, no, I
After
apologize.
the
So-
Board
I wrote,
Yeah.
okay, so there is no 4C. Consideration of application for fireworks displays at Nantahala and Franklin, I think you received that. Those do have to be approved by the county commissioners. I would entertain a motion to approve both.
And a grant of the permit is for each. Second.
Got a motion second, discussion.
Mr. Trammell, is everything in order with you?
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you back in plain clothes.
Good to see you, Michael.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Number 6 is now the appointments to the health board. I'll address that, or
Teresa Merritt, we kind of messed up last month on it. Had more applicants than we did positions. I think tonight we want to reappoint Teresa Murray at her request, and Ms. Dr. Frank Killian. No, the bed. Dr. Roy Lenzo turned out, so we want to put Dr. Todd in his place, and then we'll have one more vacancy with 2 applications. We'll go back to the health board for their recommendation on that for next month. So in the form of a motion to appoint.
yes, sir.
Dr. Todd and
Teresa Murray.
Teresa Murray.
Todd is
Probably
in there.
good to identify the position as one community position and one of the
One will be,
position.
yes, Teresa Murray will be the public. One of the general public. Okay. And one will be the veterinarian.
Okay.
And is one of those a replacement?
One is a replacement.
So that one would be for the balance of Dr. Killian's,
No, Dr. Lenzo.
Dr. Lenzo.
No, we weren't replaced Dr. Killian. I can't keep up with it.
Dr. Todd, a veterinarian?
Pardon?
Todd, a veterinarian, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
Everybody says yes. Okay.
Noah's Ark. It's there. Across the street.
Oh, okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Number 7, we have recognition for the county employee. Mr. Manager,
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make the board aware, and we always brag on these employees and how good of a job they do, working with them every day, and having that privilege. We have great folks here in Macon County, and it's just an honor to work alongside of them. They're always doing more, trying to achieve higher things, trying to reach new levels in their career. Lynn Wright has graduated on June 17, 2016 from the Certified Government Chief Information Officers Program. And this program is offered at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, at the School of Government there. And this course, it's not just a weekend course, it's 240 hours long. And it covers everything from strategic technology planning, communication, project management, emerging trends, risk assessment and management, acquisition management, change management, leadership, security, legal issues, and financial trends. Lynn is one of 57 local government, state agency, community college, and K-12 IT leaders in the state of North Carolina who have successfully completed the course this year. And Lynn, I would just like to say, not only is Lynn a great employee, Lynn's a great person. Lynn Wright's one of the strongest women I know. And I admire her and I look up to her because she overcomes obstacles every day. And I can't thank her enough for what she means to me, not only working alongside her, but also as a person. She's a great person. And Lynn, just wanted to take time to congratulate you for this. You do a great job, and can't thank you enough.
Oh, you want to give her a pen? Yeah. You're good at that.
Lynn, this is handcrafted.
By you?
By a group of 8-year-olds.
Picture in the paper, get it.
Oh, no, we got one in there.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's not easy. Let's see, that's number 7. Gentlemen, I'm going to move the number there, approving the budget ordinance. Commissioner Tate conferred with me, and I need to move number 11 up before number 8, so you'll do that. And I'm not going to renumber those. I'm not going through that. But I concur with Commissioner Tate about that, so I'm going to ask him to speak to that this morning.
Derek, I thought it was interesting that when you went through this entire pay plan study looking after the employees in Macon County, there was one position that really wasn't addressed, and that was your position as Macon County Manager. So in the meantime, I've been doing a little bit of research on what county managers make, and what brought this on personally was reading in the newspapers and what Jackson County's been going through with their hires, and I got thinking, man, I sure don't want to lose Derek Rowland for what he's done for our county. Look at what they just paid him, their new manager, what they're making is a significant amount more than what the president paid our county. So we're going to start looking into other counties around. Well, basically all counties from across the state with similar populations. Those salary ranges were anywhere from probably the lowest was in Transylvania County, which has a population similar to ours of a little over 33,000. The salary of that county manager is roughly 100,000. To Beaufort County, which has a population of a little over 45,000. Their county manager presently makes over 150,000. So I've got all these numbers, but basically the average is about 120,000. There, when it comes to county government, you know this. Just reiterate it in my mind for everyone here tonight. You're the top of the pyramid. I run a business, have a lot of employees. To be successful, in my opinion, you've got to have two very strong qualities, and I think you possess and should have both. One is respect for your fellow man and your employees. The second is knowing that no matter what happens, you have the ultimate responsibility to look after this county and after your employees. So kudos to you for that. I don't think there's anything that I personally have asked you, and I don't think anybody on this board could deny this fact that anything we've asked you to do, you not only bring us back an answer, but you always exceed our expectations on what we want to have, what we want to see, and where we want to see this county to go. Just a few things that I know that you've done in your tenure here, what, 3 years now? You oversaw and completely corrected a train wreck that was getting ready to happen, which was our health insurance. You completely overhauled that system. Our reserve fund, which was going to be the train wreck, is now completely sustainable. You looked after your employees, overseeing the pay plan to come on fruition. You're now going to finally see that implemented in the next budget year. You've oversaw the construction of Parker Meadows. You walked us through revaluation. Since you've been county manager, I don't think we've had a tax increase except for maybe a few of the fire departments. And this is the one that probably blows my mind the most is just because I've sat through a lot more budgets than this is, since you've been county manager, all 3 budgets that you've presented, you've been able to walk us all through it and get all our heads on the same plate to where we've actually all approved those unanimously. So, kudos to y'all. So, what I would like to do is I would like to make a motion that we give Derek a 5% raise out of what's left in contingency, that's on his salary for this past year. Bonus. And then I would like to give a suggestion that at our July meeting, we have a discussion of increasing the salary to where it's more in line with the surrounding counties are. Did you gentlemen know that the town of Highlands manager makes a good bit more than what a county manager does? But yet he oversees a heck of a lot more employees and about 3 times a larger budget. I think it's time to set it fairly, just like we think here.
So your suggestion of 5% bonus?
So that's a motion.
That's a motion for the 5% bonus. I'd like to take up the discussion on permanent contract raise, change this contract with a raise at their July meeting, which will come into effect at our next.
Do we have a second?
Next budget year.
Do we have a second motion of the bonus?
Second on the motion.
We have a second. I'm gonna, I see Commissioner Tate did discuss this with me, so I knew this was coming. Discussion he and I had, and I've stated this publicly before, that government really, problem with government with us about, especially Washington, is that it doesn't run like a business. You run it like the money's endless and all those things. They spend money they don't have, and we fuss about the Republicans and Democrats. I'm not being political on both sides. I feel like we try to run Macon County like business. We try to run it. We know what we have coming in. We know what we have going out. We have the 3rd lowest tax rate in the state. That's not by mistake. And I concur with you. Derek has done a fantastic job. He's not done a good job. He's done a fantastic job. The difference in his job and most jobs is that the buck stops with him. And we all have that responsibility. It does stop with us. I agree with that. But he has really done a fantastic job. He saved us a lot of money. And to say Derek is conservative is understatement.
Amen.
He squeezes a dollar till it screams. And I said this last meeting, if you compare two perfectly comparable counties, that's Macon and Jackson, to do the same stuff, their budget's $66 million versus 47. Didn't take a genius to see that we get a lot of the same things done for less money. Even when and I know that doesn't include our fire departments, if you throw that in, it's still considered the next neighboring county that has the exact same demographics. With that, I concur with Commissioner Tate, and I think that if we were a business and we were the governing board, and our business had performed as well as this business has performed, they would give that CEO of that company who in private business would already be making $1 million+ probably. They would give that CEO bonus, and I think that's fair. And also the respect in the 3 years there, we've not given a raise, and I think that's what Commissioner Tate mentioned. Let's have a discussion
thinking to get his salary on an annual basis.
You know, and I'll,
Reduction or increase?
No, I think it contemplates going up.
other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like, it's a pleasure to work here. It's an honor to serve the citizens of the county that I was born and raised in, never left. It is also an honor to work alongside such a great group of people and all the things that Commissioner Tate named off. There's a lot of people that make that happen and couldn't have done it without them. And it's just, I appreciate the confidence to this board and citizens of Macon County that I'll continue to do the best job that I can.
We haven't passed yet. It's looking good. She got a motion second, I already said I was going to go. Anyway, other discussion?
Always fun.
Hearing no other discussion, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And the total on that, Gene? Said that for the record.
I sent her a note over a minute ago to get that total in 5% units, so 5490.
It's including faculty.
$5,490 from contingency needs to be a part of the motion to take it.
I'll make my motion to
Thank you.
5490.
Second.
That's accepted, we already voted on it, so we're good. Okay. Now the consideration of ordinance amending the budget. This is, gentlemen, you know, your last meeting of the year. Basically, we have to vote on what we did, what the budget was, and there's always little changes that you go through. And you do have that, you have that attached, minus
Make a few changes.
this changes made tonight. So that will change slightly, but it will not, the bottom line will not change. The changes made tonight came out of contingency, which were already in the budget. So the bottom line will be the same.
I'll be glad to go over those changes for the record.
If you like that, absolutely.
So the only items that change is page 1 of the ordinance, administration changes to 398310, 398310. Senior services changes to 728880, again 728880. Library services changes to 1036990, again 1036990. And then non-departmental changes to 782348, again 782348. And like you said, the bottom line still remains at 48335869 as amended.
Do I have a motion to approve the ordinance amending the 2015-16 budget?
So moved.
So a motion and a second. Beaver, Shield, who wants to vote? Ronnie made the motion.
One carries it.
And carries it, gotcha. We have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance amending the budget. Any discussion?
We're bragging a lot on there tonight, we need to brag a little bit on more too. I mean, it's kind of clean, right?
It is.
This finance office we've got, phenomenal.
They are.
I think that
Point well taken.
it's, I mean, it's just, it's phenomenal. And if there's the county manager, we certainly appreciate it, he saves his fortune, but I guarantee you, everything he does, he gets a little input from Lori, and she's been at it a little bit longer than most of us, I guess. But we do appreciate it, we got a gem of fans, and I personally, I think this one as a whole, certainly appreciate your services.
And all I've heard you say it, I've heard Ronnie say it, I've said it. Most of our citizens, which is a wonderful thing, they've lived in Macon County, they understand that they budget here. But go visit some of these other counties and see how they run their business. And you come back here and you will appreciate Derrick Road and Lord Hall and the people that surround us. That Macon County run very efficient. That's not the case in all 100 counties. Right? Could you say amen to that?
Team approach.
We appreciate it. So, very good. Thank you. Did we vote on that? We had a motion and a second, we vote?
Yep.
We did not. All in favor of the budget, ordinance amending the 15-16 budget, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion passes. Number 9 is we did not approve the minutes, of May 10th and May 31st. We need to approve those tonight. You have those attached in your packet. We have a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
10, God help me find all this. Southwest, what's that? Number 10 is Southwestern. Okay, I'll keep this brief. You guys have heard that there's been some discussion in the past about the burn building at Southwestern. I have a couple of letters, one dated February 16th, 2015, one dated June 22nd, 2015. Garrett and I met with Dr. Thomas today. The reason for the meeting was, as you know, the state bond passed. Southwestern got $7 million in change there, 7.1. And Gary can speak to this as well. Southwestern's board met and they decided they are going to pursue building the sciences building and Jackson campus, which that requires a match from Jackson County Commissioners. And no money's in swing, my understanding. And then they have expressed an interest in their top priority here would be to spend $2 million, which is the cost of replacing the burn building. So they've had this engineering firm out of Asheville, SKA, I believe it is. SKA out of Asheville. I've got a copy of these letters. I will have Derek scan and email these to you all. I'm not asking for any action tonight, but mark a couple of things. The letter from June 22nd, a year ago, was just talking about the damage that's been done to the building through flooding, which that sits in the flood area. This building was built approximately 30 years ago. Damage to it, what needs to be done, what hadn't been done so they can continue to use it, so on and so forth. They said in there the anticipated life expectancy of a live burn building is typically 30 years. This building is approaching the end of its intended life. Burn buildings are subject to extremely harsh conditions due to the intended usage of the building. This is exacerbated by the fact they're also subject to deterioration from the natural environment as all buildings are. And they would go into the freezing and thawing and all that, basically to say that the building is in its life expectancy. And they recommended in another letter, I think it was about $29,000. Stranger, is that correct? About $29,000 in renovations that need to be done just to be able to use it now in June. Temporary concrete pours, preparing some brick, and that kind of thing. About $30,000. So Gary, you want to speak to your board is asking us to consider building a new building on the Macon campus. That's correct.
Yes, that's correct, but also, the last meeting, we were waiting for Jackson County voted on their, in order for us to move forward on that, so we're still in the holding pattern on priority, because we didn't know how that vote was going.
Okay.
So we just elected that time to hold, we'll see how that vote.
Okay. So and I'm sorry, I'm not opposed to doing anything. I guess my reason to bring this up, I think it'd be foolish to spend money to renovate this building if indeed it's going to be unusable in 2 years. If you have the state bond money, the other part of that is the state bond money will provide 1.5. That means we got to provide 500. So it's still a pretty expensive proposition. So my question to Dr. Thomas, I guess to Derek, was, wouldn't it make sense for us to get an engineering firm that we asked to go out there and look at that? Jim, you can address this from the fire department and tell us, okay, the $29,000 is sort of a band-aid. What would it take to make the building structurally sound for another 20 years. Is that doable? And Dr. Thomas didn't have the answer to that. So before I went down the road of spending that much money, I think at least ask the question, if we spend $200,000, throw that figure out, and make it structurally sound, now you can continue using it properly.
After the flood, didn't we just approve you burn down that building?
We did. $7,500.
Turned out to be about $6,700, actually.
That's you burn down. That's a big deal.
So I'm just throwing that out for discussion. Their board did express that I think that's coming. And, we can wait.
So we wait and see what SEC will do with the family kill.
It's nothing, it's an emergency. I think I would feel uncomfortable voting, yep, let's spend $2 million, even though 1.5 is coming from the state, if we don't at least ask the question. Can you speak to that?
I don't know, I'm still, I mean, I've heard that number thrown around a few times, so I'm still kind of blown away at the $2 million number.
I am too.
It's not like you're putting marble and bathtubs and refrigerators. I don't know, maybe something to do with the structure of the building to handle the heat constantly. Like, wow.
It's like
$2
a
million
parking-
for a
if you
burn building?
compare it to a parking deck, yes, that's a burn building. That's a parking deck costs much money. It's on the same thing as a parking deck.
Most of the
Yeah,
steel.
they
They keep calling us
cannot build
dirty,
it.
by the way, but I think due diligence is, I think due diligence is wise on this board.
And Gary, I understand your board, if I were in their position, I'd say the same thing, hey, we need to build it. On the other end of that, we have to answer the taxpayer. And so I think we've got to ask those questions. We understand it's 30 years old, we understand, and Derek, if you'll scan and email these board members and to the media, if you guys want, these letters, it shows pictures of structural damage that appears to be significant. So I mean, I'm guessing there's a lot of work to be done, it's just $29,000 doesn't address. I agree with you, we need to ask a lot of
I think we
questions.
need an independent assessment.
And I asked Derek if we did that, or we get that done forward, and he said probably just a couple $1,000. But it'd be worth having somebody do that, you know.
We need to authorize,
I would like Commissioner Shields, I think we'll be nothing right for the board.
okay,
Your board's voted to do this, right? It's just Jackson County's not voted to spend money.
Right, well, when we looked at it last time, we didn't feel comfortable moving forward with any kind of recommendation until that vote on that tax on that. Because some of that was going to Southwestern, quite a bit of it, then so what was that going to free up from this one? And so I think, from what I understood, if we were in a holding pattern in order to, till that vote got over, and we'll pick it back up now, but we don't have a vote on it.
But let me go back, I was saying about doing it with now. We need to take some action, whether it's from state bond money, or whether we fix it up for 30,000, or whether we do nothing. I think what we'll need is an assessment.
I think you're right.
Who owns that building?
Southwest.
I think that assessment will help them have the trustees make a decision to whether we pay. That's information that we would give to.
We could offer, I guess the reason I'm bringing it up, before this comes back and try to decide how to proceed with this, I think something has to be done, but I feel like we need to have a structural engineer other than an SBA.
We'll make motion,
well, we need to,
That assessment, I think, is very.
I would make a motion, I would make a suggestion that prior to us voting to expend money, we have that assessment, with, as long as not one of these rush things where we've got to act now. It should be on appropriating these funds, and all that $2 million is taxpayer money, so we have to be very
So you made a motion to authorize the county manager.
I don't think we
to
need
hire
to
the
do it
engineer
now.
to.
Do we need to do it now?
Not necessarily.
I wouldn't, I'd wait to see what they.
Let's wait and see what
Okay.
happens. They may want to be on
I-
that.
And I think I thought Jackson County had already voted, they're not voted to do it, they approved, the voters approved
The voters
the
approve
sales tax.
Sales tax.
the 4 to 6 sales tax, but the board still has to
Okay.
vote.
Yeah, I appreciate the heads up, so
Yeah.
we're not
Just
rushing.
so we know, that's a pretty significant, and I had some significant questions about it. I'm all for the burn building, I think it serves a wonderful purpose. But we've also got to make sure we're doing the right thing. Anyway, I'll leave it, Derek, I'm gonna give you these, if you would scan and email those, and also, there's this is from, this is a document that I received from, this is from Travis Scruggs, who's a coordinator, out there, and also Curtis Dowd, Dean of Public Safety, and I highlighted this. They said based on, what we talked about here, the current facility has anticipated life of approximately 20 to 24 months as a service for the burn training center. So we're in the short, something's got to be done within a pretty short amount of time. And he said this has been confirmed by a recent visit by structural engineer from SKA, in which he stated, quote, "This building has reached the end of its life as a fire and training facility, and any resources we devote to the building at this point is only staving off the inevitable." That's his opinion. And what I'm saying is, we need to get an engineering firm on our behalf to take a look at that and say, what if we spent not $29,000, but we spent $211,000, but it would structurally make this building the same? And the answer is yes, and we don't spend $2 million. That's all I'm saying. We would get those. And that's all. Number 11. That was the July meeting.
That's check for your local agreement or not.
As I mentioned earlier, Derek and I both going to be out of town for a long meeting. Want to make y'all aware. We all want to readjust. Vacation together. Blame my social coordinator my wife on this.
Can we move the whole meeting? I've got to be in Winston-Salem at 8 o'clock. I got to be in Winston-Salem at 7:30 next morning.
Chester, we've had these discussions before. If we give proper notice, can we go ahead and say that our July meeting will be not the 12th, but the 19th?
You can approach this problem one of two ways. You're gonna have to have, the statutes require a regular meeting. The statutes also require that you hold your regular meeting in accordance with your schedule. At least one per month.
And I think the discussion, and you had privately, like all the school government about it, we have to establish our regular meeting, but we can change that with proper notice.
You can, but you're, at this particular point in time, you don't have time to do that. It will take a resolution to change your schedule of meeting and that publication. Like general statute, subject to that, we went in the agenda.
We'll meet on the 12th, and,
You could certainly,
My
you can
concern-
come and you can recess it to a later date.
that's fine.
And that's
My
probably.
concern is, you've had meetings with my absence, Commissioner Tate chaired the meeting, I have no problem with that, I have no problem with the commissioner being gone. But you got the commissioner and the county manager gone, I think that limits what we can function to do. And so if you guys are okay, we'll meet on the 12th, and we'll keep it real short, and we'll probably continue with the 19th. Is that fair? Okay. All right, so meeting's still on. And I do respect their attorney, because he will tell you that he and I disagree about, how that statute, I think we can change it. But I will
We'll pay you for your opinions.
You pay Chester.
Can I give you one thing before we
Sure.
This is, I talked to the secretary just right before I come in,
Secretary of what?
of Health and Human Services, and Mr. Baker, and this did go through today. And this is something that we all worked on, you and I worked on it as a lot, but we did get the 10 million for the mental health and reoccurring money. We asked for 30, got 10, still a big deal. We got 10 million in non-reoccurring money. Here's the big deal. We've got the 20 million from the Dorothea Big Cell of money to go to mental health beds for rural counties in North Carolina. The way that'll be split up is 6 million will go to the western county. 6 million, will be split up, the 20 million will be split up. But 6 million of that will come to the western North Carolina mountains. Now, we're going back to Raleigh, we've got a conference call morning to define western Carolina, North Carolina mountains. I have a different definition than somebody, so you have the definition.
They think that starts at
So,
Morgan.
oh no, it's further than that now. It's 26 western North Carolina county, so we got it narrowed down to 7. So it's a little bit different. So that is good news, and it's a whole lot different than where we started, and so we passed the resolution, if you remember, and so a lot of hard work by a lot of people. You helped, Chairman, I know, so that is good.
That is, thank you for sharing. The next thing is Chester's interlocal agreement to the soil and water. Chester, I think everybody has a copy of that.
Just real briefly, Macon Soil and Water Conservation District apparently made an application to the North Carolina Clean Water Trust Fund for a grant. The purpose of the grant was for restoration of degraded lands in order to protect the quality of surface waters. The North Carolina Clean Water Trust Fund has indicated that they're prepared to enter into a grant contract with the Macon Soil and Water Conservation District that will provide $191,000 of grant funds to be used for this project within Macon County. Lori, I was going to say something here that it's my understanding that it's incorrect. My understanding is that the district does not have a tremendous amount of financial resources available to it to pay for these improvements up front. And by the terms of the grant, the work that's to be done with the grant money has to be paid for up front. And then, once it's completed, you submit a request for reimbursement out of the grant funds. And so the problem, of course, is the district doesn't have those monies to do that. Furthermore, the district doesn't have a finance office to handle the receipts and disbursements of grant funds. And so they have approached our finance office to see if indeed the county would be willing to basically advance the money to get this work done with the understanding that when the grant funds come in, they would be used to reimburse the county and to further utilize the county finances office for the purpose of receipt and disbursement of the grant funds. There is some precedent for this by Macon County. I think Ronnie was on board when Jack Horton was still county manager. We did one very similar to this. I'm not sure if any of the other board members were on at that point in time. Lori, my understanding was the issue of the problem. I have prepared a interlocal agreement which would essentially accommodate what I just discussed.
So you're asking us to approve the interlocal agreement and capital projects?
That is correct.
Two separate.
Two separate documents.
Okay. I think we'd have to pass the interlocal agreement first.
The time is of the essence to the soil and water conservation. We found out today that they really need to get this done.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the interlocal agreement. Okay.
So moved.
Second. Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the capital project ordinance as presented in the noting the amount of $191,000.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Chester.
We could
that's-
get the chair to sign this evening.
That is all I had, except, Commissioner Beal asked for a closed session. What did you say, for attorney-client privilege?
For, update on purchase of property.
Okay.
And just to announce, we did have 2 more retirees this week from the Macon County employees, with over really 50 years of service. We had 2. Mr. Kenny Cope retired from Macon County Sheriff's Department with, over 30 years of service. And, Mr. John Hood retired with over 22 years of service. So, 2 dedicated employees that,
You, Mr. Beal, you know what your, any action?
no, there'll be no action.
Okay, just information. Anything else to come before the board in public session? Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We appreciate what the library does. We'll, do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second motion, second, Kate, all in favor, say aye. Aye. We'll be back out in a short.